Welcome to the AXA Engineers Podcast, Episode 5. Today, we're embarking on what I think is a really fascinating deep dive. We're looking into a topic that's not just, shaking things up in the civil engineering industry, but it's also really redefining what's even possible. We're talking about civil engineering outsourcing. And look, this isn't just about saving a few bucks on efficiency, although that's part of it, of course. It's really about these incredible opportunities for innovation, for accessing global talent pools, optimizing project costs in ways that, honestly, we probably only dreamed of not too long ago.
Absolutely. The potential is huge.
But, like any big shift, any groundbreaking frontier, it definitely comes with its own, let's say, unique landscape of complexities. We're talking subtle, sometimes hidden challenges that, well, if you don't address them, they can seriously derail even the most promising projects.
That's the crucial part. Identifying those hidden bits.
Exactly. So our mission today really is to shine a light on these potential pitfalls. But more importantly, we want to reveal exactly how AXA Engineers doesn't just, navigate these challenges, but actually masterfully transforms them into real strategic advantages for your most critical civil engineering projects.
Turning risk into opportunity.
Precisely. Oh, and before we really jump into this fascinating discussion, please remember to hit that follow button and comment with your thoughts or any questions you might have after the deep dive. We genuinely value your insights, and honestly, we love hearing from our listeners. It makes this much more of a conversation.
Yeah, definitely. And, picking up on your point, the allure of civil engineering outsourcing. It's undeniable, isn't it? I mean, think about it for a second. The ability to tap into these specialized talent pools around the globe, expertise that might just not be available where you are locally. Combine that with, potentially significant cost optimization. Well, it presents a really compelling proposition for any firm that's looking to scale up, to innovate, or just stay competitive in today's market.
It really does. It feels like a no-brainer sometimes.
But, and this is the critical distinction AXA Engineers always emphasizes, what we're talking about here isn't just simple task delegation. This isn't about handing off, the busy work or some routine drafting. No, this is a direct transfer of responsibility.
Responsibility for safety.
Exactly, for critical safety and structural decisions.
Yeah.
You're essentially entrusting the very foundation, the core integrity of a project to another entity, often thousands of miles away. And this profound shift necessitates an extraordinarily proactive and, frankly, rigorous approach right from day one.
You can't just wing it.
Absolutely not. It means every single detail, no matter how seemingly minute, it has to be handled with the utmost precision, total accountability, and an absolutely unwavering commitment to quality. That's the standard AXA Engineers sets.
Precisely. And that's really where the critical conversation starts for us at AXA Engineers. Because, look, we've seen it happen countless times. If you overlook these subtleties, these kind of hidden currents in the global engineering stream, well, those initial really attractive cost savings, they can just evaporate. Poof, gone.
Faster than you'd think.
Oh, yeah. Replaced by unforeseen expenses, schedule blowouts, and, in the most severe cases, critical failures that honestly ripple far beyond just the project's balance sheet. We're talking reputation, safety.
The full spectrum.
Exactly. So in this deep dive, we're going to explore the core risks in this civil engineering outsourcing space. We'll touch on the subtleties of cross-cultural communication, the often tangled web of international legal frameworks, and even those unexpected hidden costs that can pop up from just overlooking crucial local conditions, like soil types or local regulations.
Things that seem small but aren't.
Right. Then, and this is the key part, we're going to show you exactly how AXA Engineers, through our unwavering commitment to excellence and our comprehensive, you could say proprietary processes, how we build that foundation of confidence, how we ensure the integrity and ultimately the success of your civil engineering outsourcing projects.
It's about partnership, isn't it?
It absolutely is. It's about forging these strong, reliable partnerships that genuinely transform those potential pitfalls into undeniable strategic wins, really securing your project's future.
Okay, so let's unpack this a bit more. Let's get practical. Imagine you're listening right now and you're on the verge of signing an outsourcing contract. Maybe it's for a complex civil engineering project, a new commercial high-rise perhaps, or critical infrastructure upgrade, something big.
Oh, high stakes.
Very high stakes.
Yeah.
What's the single most revealing question you should ask your potential partner? The one question that will really gauge their reliability and, even more critically, their fundamental commitment to your project's safety.
That's a great question. What's the litmus test? Well, from AXA Engineers' perspective, The acid test, the truly profound question, is this one. You ask them, can you walk me through your quality control process for when a specification is unclear? And, this is the crucial second part, how does that specific process account for potentially significant time zone and language differences?
Ah, okay. So it's about process and chron-cultural competence.
Exactly. Now, you need to listen very closely to their answer. Or, maybe even more tellingly, listen for the absence of a clear, detailed, confident answer. That response, or lack thereof, will immediately reveal the inherent level of risk embedded in that potential relationship.
It cuts right to the chase.
It really does. It seems like a deceptively simple question, doesn't it? But its implications for the safety, the budget, the timeline, the overall success of your civil engineering outsourcing venture are absolutely profound.
Yeah, I can see that. And what's truly fascinating here, and something AXA engineers understands really deeply, is that outsourcing civil engineering is just fundamentally different from, say, simple task delegation.
Right, it's not IT support or call centers.
Exactly. It's not like asking someone to manage your calendar or transcribe meeting notes. This, as we said, is a direct transfer of responsibility for critical safety decisions. And these decisions often span vast logistical, cultural, and, importantly, linguistic divides. This is where those tangible communication barriers really come into sharp focus.
And where things can go wrong quickly.
Precisely. Where the very integrity of a structure can be compromised by something as seemingly minor as, well, a single mistranslated word. I mean, consider a highly precise technical specification, something like a load-bearing capacity or maybe a shear strength requirement.
Critical terms.
Absolutely critical. Now, if that phrase gets subtly altered in translation, maybe through a nuanced misinterpretation of just one word, or a slightly different technical understanding in another language, it could directly lead to the selection of an incorrect material. Imagine, just for a moment, the potentially catastrophic consequences of choosing a steel beam or a concrete mix with insufficient capacity simply because of a linguistic misstep. The entire structural integrity of the project could be compromised from the ground up.
That's terrifying, actually.
It is. And then you add another layer of complexity, what we at AXA engineers often call the 12-hour time zone problem, or sometimes even more.
Right. The communication lag.
Exactly. And this isn't just, an inconvenience that slows things down a bit. No, it's a fundamental operational challenge that can actively, systematically introduce risk into civil engineering outsourcing. Think about it. An urgent request for clarification, an RFI, a request for information on a critical design element. Maybe it's about foundation details or a connection point.
Something you need an answer on now.
Right. You send it at the end of your Monday afternoon in the United States, let's say California. That email might not even get seen, let alone properly addressed and responded to, until Wednesday morning in a common civil engineering outsourcing region, like, say, Southeast Asia.
That's a huge delay when crews are waiting.
It's a massive delay. And this substantial lag can have two really debilitating consequences. One, it effectively halts progress on site. Your teams are sitting idle, equipment is moving, schedules slip, leading to incredibly costly delays. That initial saving, gone.
Or worse.
Or far more dangerously, too.
Okay.
It can implicitly or explicitly pressure an outsourced team to make an assumption just to keep the project schedule moving.
Because nobody wants to be the one causing the delay.
Precisely. The pressure is immense. And when assumptions are made on critical structural details, whether it's about material specs, load paths, or connections, you're essentially baking latent vulnerabilities right into your project. These are hidden defects. They might not reveal themselves during construction, maybe not even during inspections. They might wait until the structure is under load, maybe years after completion, when it's far, far too late.
And potentially catastrophic.
Potentially catastrophic. And we absolutely cannot overlook the critical challenge of cultural interpretation. This is a really subtle yet pervasive risk in civil engineering outsourcing that AXA engineers meticulously addresses in all our processes.
How so? What do you mean by cultural interpretation?
Well, in some cultures, for example, a verbal yes or even a written acknowledgement might merely signify that, yes, I have received your message, or yes, I heard you. It doesn't necessarily mean, yes, I fully understand all the complex technical details contained within that message, and I confirm we can and will comply precisely.
Ah, okay. So it's acknowledgement, not agreement or comprehension.
Exactly. And this can create a dangerously false sense of security for a project manager back in the US or Europe. They might believe a complex instruction, maybe packed with technical jargon and specific code references, has been fully grasped, when in reality, a critical gap in technical understanding, or perhaps an awareness of a local constraint that conflicts with the instruction, still exists. The yes was polite, but not comprehensive.
That's a subtle trap.
It's a very subtle trap. And look, these misinterpretations, whether from language, time zones, or cultural nuances, these are not just theoretical scenarios we brainstorm in a boardroom at AK Engineers. No. They actively create the specific conditions for those latent structural failures we talked about. Failures which, as we've discussed, can remain hidden, dormant, until the consequences are often catastrophic, irreversible, and incredibly costly. Costly not just in terms of financial impact, which can be enormous, but potentially, tragically, in terms of human safety as well.
Okay, here's where it gets really interesting, I think. And where the true value of AXA engineers' proactive, systematic approach becomes crystal clear for anyone listening, let's walk through a realistic scenario. One that really vividly illustrates these communication pitfalls, specifically in the context of civil engineering outsourcing.
Okay, let's do it.
All right. Imagine the construction of a multi-story residential project. Pretty standard stuff, happens all the time. The primary developer is based, let's say, in the United States. But to optimize costs and, leverage that global talent pool we mentioned, the detailed structural design and all the associated drawings have been expertly outsourced to a well-regarded engineering firm in Vietnam.
A common setup is civil engineering outsourcing today.
Very common. And on paper, this looks like a really savvy, forward-thinking move, right? Aimed at maximizing efficiency, hitting budget targets. All good things.
Makes perfect sense initially.
Okay. Now, during a routine review of the foundational plans, maybe the pour scheduled for next week, the on-site U.S. project manager identifies what seems like a critical ambiguity. The specification for the reinforced concrete pile caps calls for a very specific grade of high-strength steel rebar. It's precise, it's clear, it references, say, strict ASTM international standards. So far, so good.
It's into practice.
But there's a small note, just a little annotation off to the side, and it adds the phrase, or approved equivalent.
The equivalent clause. Always tricky.
Exactly. While this seems like a standard provision, maybe just allowing for some flexibility in material sourcing, in the nuanced world of global civil engineering outsourcing, it immediately introduces a potentially dangerous point of failure. Now, let's say the local supplier in the project's region offers a rebar that is marketed locally as an equivalent. But crucially, when you actually test it or check its certifications, it possesses a slightly lower yield strength and maybe less ductility compared to those stringent ASTM international standards cited in the primary specification.
And just to clarify for everyone listening, yield strength is basically the point where a material permanently deforms, right? Like if you bend a paperclip too far, and it stays bent.
Precisely.
And ductility is its ability to stretch or deform under stress without breaking, which is absolutely critical in, say, seismic zones, where you need the structure to absorb energy, not just snap.
Exactly right. So this difference, even if it seems marginal on paper, maybe it's just a few percentage points, it is structurally significant. Especially if this project is in a region with seismic considerations where every bit of strength and flexibility really counts.
A small difference with potentially huge implications.
Huge. Okay, now here's where that 12-hour time zone problem really kicks in, turning this minor ambiguity about rebar into a potentially major risk for the entire project. The U.S. project manager, it's the very end of his workday, maybe 5 p.m. in California. He diligently sends a request for information, a formal RFI, to the engineering team back in Vietnam.
Following procedure.
Right. The RFI asks for two things. First, a precise, unambiguous definition of what constitutes an equivalent in this context. And second, a clear, explicit list of approved alternative materials, complete with their specific certifications, verifying they meet those original ASTM standards.
Asking the right questions needs clarity.
Absolutely. That email arrives bright and early, 7 a.m. in Ho Chi Minh City, ready for the start of their workday. Now, the Vietnamese lead engineer, maybe he's under considerable pressure, deadlines looming, needs to deliver the next drawing package, keep the project moving forward, avoid any delay. He reviews the query.
The pressure cooker environment.
Totally. Now, getting a direct, explicit clarification, which would involve contacting the U.S.-based engineer of record, the licensed professional who is legally responsible for the overall design integrity, the one who has to sign off on the plans.
That takes time.
That inevitably causes a delay. It might require setting up a call across time zones, getting approvals, maybe a full day, maybe more, just waiting for that synchronous discussion and formal sign-off.
A delay the schedule might not tolerate.
Exactly. So instead, he confers quickly with his immediate team, and based on their regional standards, their common practices, what they typically use locally. He confidently, but as we know, erroneously, determines that their locally available high-strength rebar is sufficient.
He makes an assumption.
He makes a critical assumption, driven primarily by schedule pressure, rather than seeking that absolute, documented clarity from the engineer of record.
A shortcut under pressure.
It is. So his response, sent later that same morning, is deliberately brief. It's intended to be reassuring, to close the loop quickly. It might say something like, "We confirm the specified rebar is appropriate for this application and will proceed."
Sounds positive, but lacks detail.
Exactly. And due to, perhaps, a subtle imprecision in language, maybe a slightly different cultural interpretation of the word confirm or appropriate, or maybe just wishful thinking on the U.S. side, the U.S. project manager interprets this response. He doesn't see it as an assumption based on regional standards. He takes it as a direct, unassailable confirmation that the locally available material perfectly meets the original specification's unstated but critical performance criteria, including those ASTM standards.
The communication gap strikes again?
Right. So what happens? The RFI is formally closed out in the system. Tick. Done. And critically, that marginally substandard rebar, the one with slightly lower yield strength and ductility, it gets procured, it gets delivered to site, and it gets installed in the foundation of a multi-story building.
Oh, dear.
Yeah. This whole cascading communication failure, born from a debilitating time zone gap, fueled by a minor linguistic nuance, compounded by the pressure of assumptions, has now introduced a hidden, yet potentially profound vulnerability right into the very core of the building structure.
Deep in the foundation.
Deep in the foundation. What started as a seemingly efficient, cost-saving civil engineering outsourcing decision now carries a silent, ticking time bomb. A risk that, frankly, AXA engineers meticulously, systematically prevents through our processes.
Yeah, that scenario, which is unfortunately all too plausible in civil engineering outsourcing, it really raises an absolutely critical question, doesn't it? How do you, as a project owner or developer, prevent such a fundamental safety-compromising failure from ever happening in your projects?
That's the million-dollar question.
It really is, and this is precisely where AXA Engineers distinguishes itself. This is where we transform these common, often hidden risks into an unshakable foundation of reliability and trust for all your civil engineering outsourcing needs. See, AXA Engineers understands deeply that time zone differences aren't just some minor inconvenience. They are a potential point of structural failure, if not managed proactively.
So how do you manage it?
Well, that's why AXA Engineers operates on a sophisticated two-shift model. Think about that. As your team in the U.S. is wrapping up their day, a completely new, fully briefed shift at AXA Engineers is just starting theirs.
Ah, so there's continuous coverage.
Exactly. Near real-time, seamless collaboration with U.S.-based teams. This structure effectively eliminates that debilitating time zone lag we discussed. It means urgent RFIs, complex design clarifications, critical decisions. They can be addressed and fully clarified within hours, not days.
Keeping the project moving.
Keeping your project moving safely, efficiently, and ensuring continuous progress without dangerous delays or pressured assumptions. That's a core part of the AXA Engineers' advantage in civil engineering outsourcing. Furthermore, it's not just about speed, it's about rigor. Every single request for information at AXA Engineers, regardless of how simple or complex it might seem initially, is meticulously reviewed under a formal, documented, rigorous escalation protocol.
So nothing falls through the cracks.
Absolutely nothing. This isn't just, an informal chat between engineers or a quick email exchange. No, it's a structured, documented approach. It guarantees that every question, every ambiguity, no matter how minor it might appear, is given the proper level of attention and is routed immediately to the correct, authoritative expert for resolution.
And what about those really critical issues, like the rebar example?
Great question. Specifically for those truly critical material equivalency issues like our rebar example, or maybe concrete additives or structural steel grades, AXA Engineers has an ironclad, non-negotiable, mandatory engineer of record review process built in.
So the ultimate authority has to sign off.
Always. This prevents assumptions, it completely eliminates shortcuts, and it ensures that all critical decisions related to material specifications, structural integrity, code compliance, everything. They are made by the highest authority, with full understanding, complete accountability, and the necessary legal and professional backing. There's no ambiguity.
That sounds incredibly thorough.
It has to be. But beyond our robust processes, there's also the human element at AXA Engineers, which adds another indispensable layer of security for your civil engineering outsourcing projects. All responses, particularly those concerning intricate technical specifications or potential ambiguities, are meticulously vetted. not just by the engineers involved, but also by our highly skilled bilingual senior staff.
Ah, so a language and technical double check.
Precisely. Their crucial role isn't merely to translate words, like from English to Vietnamese or vice versa. No, it's to ensure both linguistic clarity, that the words mean exactly what they're intended to mean, and technical clarity, ensuring the precise engineering intent and meaning are conveyed without any possible room for misinterpretation.
Closing that cultural interpretation gap we talked about?
Exactly.
Yeah.
This is absolutely essential for preventing those subtle, dangerous misinterpretations. It ensures precise, unambiguous communication in even the most complex, multi-layered civil engineering outsourcing projects. And the outcome, the result of all these rigorous, multi-layered processes working together at AXA Engineers, it's profound, really. It ensures no assumptions are ever made. It guarantees absolutely no shortcuts are ever taken when it comes to safety or quality.
Building confidence.
Building immense confidence and trust. Trust in AXA Engineers' unwavering commitment to the safety, the quality, and ultimate success of every single aspect of your civil engineering outsourcing needs.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense on the communication and technical side, but, let's shift gears slightly.
All right.
What does all this meticulous attention to detail, this process rigor, what does it actually mean for your bottom line,
Yeah.
beyond just the crucial structural integrity of your building?
Right, the financial implications.
Yeah, because here's a critical question I think everyone involved in development or construction needs to deeply ponder. What is the actual long-term value of, say, a promised 30% cost savings on design fees? If a major project failure occurs, and then you discover the contract you sign is legally unenforceable in a foreign court.
Oof, that's the nightmare scenario.
It really is. This is where the risks in civil engineering outsourcing stretch far beyond just the tangible physical structures, the concrete and steel. They encompass this complex, often bewildering international web of laws, regulations, jurisdictions, creating less visible, perhaps, but equally severe legal and financial vulnerabilities for your entire project and potentially your whole business.
Yeah, and if we connect this back to the bigger picture, the moment your engineering services, your designs, your specifications cross a national border, they instantly enter this domain where legal precedents are different. Contractual interpretations can vary wildly. Even fundamental definitions of things like negligence or liability can differ dramatically from what you might be used to in your home country.
It's a whole different legal world.
It absolutely is. And this environment, as legal experts often refer to it, it creates these incredibly complex jurisdictional nightmares.
Let's consider another realistic scenario just to illustrate this profound legal risk in civil engineering outsourcing. Imagine, again, a US-based development firm. This time, they hire an engineering partner based in India for a large-scale infrastructure project, maybe a bridge or a highway interchange. But here's the twist. The project itself is actually located in Canada.
Okay, so 3 countries involved already: U.S. developer, Indian engineer, Canadian project location.
Exactly. Now, let's say a critical design flaw emerges after construction has already commenced. Maybe there's an issue with the bridge bearings or the road sub-base design. A major problem. A monumental legal question immediately explodes onto the scene. Which nation's laws apply to this dispute? Is it the U.S., where the developer is based? Is it India, where the engineering firm resides? Or is it Canada, where the project is physically located and where the damage occurred?
What a mess. It's an absolute mess. And the ensuing conflict over jurisdiction, just figuring out where the case should even be heard, becomes this incredibly convoluted, unbelievably time-consuming, and astronomically expensive legal battle.
And meanwhile, the project.
The project is dead in the water. And the most frustrating part, this entire battle over where the case belongs needs to be fought and resolved before the core issue, the actual design failure itself, can even begin to be addressed legally.
So you're burning money on lawyers just arguing about where to argue?
Precisely. This legal ambiguity doesn't just complicate things. It leaves the entire project stalled indefinitely. Valuable capital is frozen, schedules are destroyed, reputations are damaged, all while the parties litigate the very framework of their dispute. It's like legal quicksand. It can just swallow project budgets whole, delay essential infrastructure, and completely transform those anticipated civil engineering outsourcing savings into overwhelming, crippling losses.
That's a huge risk, and it extends beyond just project failures, right? What about intellectual property?
Absolutely. That's another critical piece of this legal puzzle. This complexity extends directly to the crucial concern of protecting a firm's most valuable, often intangible assets, when you're engaging in civil engineering outsourcing. We're talking about your intellectual property, your IP.
Like innovative designs or software.
Exactly. Think about it strategically. When you share your innovative construction methods, maybe some proprietary design software you've developed, or unique architectural concepts with an outsourced partner, what robust legal mechanisms are truly in place in their jurisdiction and under the agreed contract terms to prevent that invaluable intellectual property from being, shall we say, repurposed, used for other projects, perhaps even for one of your competitors, without your explicit authorization.
That's a fundamental risk, kind of insidious.
It is. It's an insidious risk. Because the enforcement of IP rights, things like patents, copyrights, trade secrets, it varies significantly between nations, hugely. A patent or a copyright that seems absolutely ironclad, easily enforceable in North America or Europe might offer remarkably limited protection or require entirely different enforcement mechanisms under the legal system of your partner's country.
It's not just different laws, is it? It's like a different philosophy sometimes.
Yeah. That's a very insightful way to put it. It is often about fundamentally different legal philosophies. For instance, in some common law systems like the US or UK, the concept of punitive damages, payments designed to punish wrongdoing and deter others, might be a significant factor in IP infringement cases. Whereas in many civil law traditions, often found in continental Europe or parts of Asia, the legal focus might be strictly, almost exclusively, on compensation for provable direct harm. Punitive damages might be viewed skeptically or even disallowed entirely.
So just having a penalty clause isn't enough?
Not necessarily. Understanding this philosophical divide is absolutely key when you're drafting contracts for civil engineering outsourcing. You need contracts that actually protect you globally, considering the specific legal realities of all jurisdictions involved. Because look, without meticulously drafted contractual clauses that explicitly define IP ownership, clearly state usage rights outline the severe and, importantly, enforceable consequences of infringement, and critically specify a mutually agreed upon neutral legal framework and jurisdiction for resolving disputes without all that. A company risks not only significant financial loss on the current project, but also the slow, painful erosion of its long-term competitive advantage. Your unique methodologies, your proprietary tools, your hard-won innovations could essentially become common knowledge in the industry, undermining years, maybe decades, of investment and ingenuity.
So these aren't just like minor contractual details to gloss over.
Not at all. These are not edge cases. They're not minor inconveniences you can just hope won't happen. No. They are fundamental financial and strategic risks. They absolutely must be addressed with the exact same rigor, the same level of detail as your structural calculations or your geotechnical surveys. Because the integrity of your project's financial and legal foundation is, in any significant civil engineering outsourcing venture, every single bit as critical as its physical one. This is precisely why AXA Engineers dedicates unparalleled resources and expertise to safeguarding your interests on all fronts.
Right, okay. This is precisely where AXA Engineer steps in again, isn't it? Taking that potential legal quicksand we just described and transforming it into a solid, impenetrable, and truly defensible foundation for all your civil engineering outsourcing projects. It's about ensuring your invaluable assets, your significant investments, your reputation, they're all meticulously protected.
It's about proactive defense.
Exactly. AXA Engineers understands, fundamentally, that you simply cannot afford to leave your legal exposure to chance in the global arena. It's just too risky. That's why every single contract at AXA Engineers, before it's even presented to a client, undergoes these rigorous pre-engagement legal reviews. And these aren't just done by any lawyer. They're conducted by seasoned international legal counsel who specialize in cross-border agreements and the specific nuances of engineering contracts.
Experts in this specific field.
Right. This isn't some mere rubber stamping exercise or a quick formality. No, it's a deeply proactive measure. It's specifically designed to identify and comprehensively address any potential legal vulnerabilities before they even have a chance to arise. We ensure every agreement we forge is legally sound, strategically watertight, and crucially fully enforceable from day one, wherever your project or your partners might be located.
Building that legal certainty up front.
Precisely. Furthermore, AXA Engineers meticulously incorporates multi-jurisdictional dispute resolution clauses into all its contracts. We don't leave it ambiguous. This means that if a dispute, however unlikely, given our other processes, ever does arise, there's already a clear, pre-agreed, and efficient path forward documented right there in the contract. No arguments about where to argue.
Avoiding that jurisdictional nightmare.
Completely avoiding it. We specifically utilize binding arbitration. Exactly. This provides you, the client, with a clear, reliable, and generally expedited path for dispute resolution should it ever be needed. It completely sidesteps those costly, protracted, and incredibly uncertain jurisdictional battles we just talked about. It's about building certainty and predictability into an inherently uncertain global environment.
That makes a lot of sense. Provides real peace of mind.
It really does. And then, of course, when it comes to safeguarding your intellectual property, your designs, your methods, your software AXA engineers, leaves absolutely nothing to chance there either. We work with you to craft comprehensive IP protection agreements. These aren't just boilerplate templates, they are specifically tailored for each and every client relationship. They feature strict confidentiality policies, explicit definitions of who owns what IP, usually you, the client, clear usage rights outlining exactly how the IP can and cannot be used by the outsourcing partner, and robust enforcement mechanisms.
So your innovations stay yours.
Absolutely. This ensures that your innovative designs, your proprietary methods, your unique algorithms, all your invaluable intellectual assets, they remain completely protected throughout the entire civil engineering outsourcing engagement and often specified periods beyond.
Long-term protection.
It's about building this robust, multi-layered legal shield around your most valuable creative and technical output, safeguarding your competitive edge not just for this project, but for the long term. Ultimately, AXA engineers' unwavering commitment to comprehensive legal diligence, it provides an unparalleled shield. It ensures that your financial investments are secure and your competitive advantage is meticulously safeguarded in the complex, dynamic world of global civil engineering outsourcing.
Yeah, it sounds like it's not just about avoiding problems. It's really about building that partnership on a foundation of proactive trust, total security, and absolute confidence in every single detail, legal and technical.
That's the goal. That's the AXA engineer's difference.
Okay, so we've covered communication pitfalls and legal complexities. But there's another area where hidden risks often bite companies engaging in civil engineering outsourcing, isn't there? That's the issue of overlooked local conditions. To see how these vulnerabilities can manifest in practice, beyond just the legal realm, let's consider another, unfortunately common, scenario. This is where an outsourced design firm, despite being generally competent, maybe even excellent in pure engineering theory, critically lacks that granular, specific knowledge of local conditions.
The stuff you only know if you're there or have deep experience there.
Exactly. It's a subtle yet vital aspect in civil engineering outsourcing that is, rather alarmingly, often overlooked in the rush for cost savings. So imagine this. A European developer initiates a significant commercial building project. Maybe it's an office tower or a large retail complex, and it's located in the American Southwest, Arizona, perhaps, or Nevada.
Okay. Hot, dry climate, specific geology.
Precisely. Now, to capitalize on labor cost differentials and access a large pool of engineering talent, they decide to outsource the structural engineering to a highly reputable, technically proficient firm based in East Asia.
Makes sense on paper, again.
Right. The outsourced firm, while demonstrably highly proficient in general engineering principles, universal design standards, maybe they know the Euro codes or standard U.S. codes inside out.
Yeah.
They proceed based on, let's say, standard published soil-bearing capacity data for the general region, data that would be perfectly sufficient for many parts of the world.
But the Southwest has unique challenges.
Exactly. Critically, this firm lacks specific, deep, granular expertise concerning that particular region's highly expansive clay soils.
The clays that swell and shrink.
The very same.
Yeah.
These soils have this peculiar and incredibly powerful characteristic. They can exert immense upward pressure on foundations during seasonal moisture changes, swelling dramatically when they get wet after rains, and then shrinking just as significantly, causing settlement when they dry out in the heat.
Huge forces involved.
Massive differential forces. So the resulting designs produced by the outsourced firm, while technically correct according to universal engineering standards, maybe they meet all the code calculations on paper. They are fundamentally inadequate for the specific geological realities of that location. They simply don't account properly for the unique, powerful, cyclical challenges posed by the local substrate. It's a detail that, frankly, AXA engineers, with our emphasis on local knowledge integration, would have identified and mitigated right from day one of the project.
So when does this flaw get discovered?
Well, alarmingly in this scenario, it's not discovered during the design review phase back in Europe or Asia. It's not even caught during the initial site preparation, no. It's only when construction is actually well underway, when the initial foundation excavations actively interact with the local substrate, maybe after the first significant rainfall. that they reveal soil properties behaving in ways that are dangerously and fundamentally inconsistent with the engineered plan.
Oh no, foundation's already being built.
Potentially, yes, or excavations collapsing or heaves starting to show. At that point, all work has to halt immediately. Stop everything.
And the financial fallout starts instantly.
Instantly. The consequences are immediate, they're severe, and they're financially devastating for the developer, who now faces this sudden, unexpected cascade of monumental, unbudgeted expenses. First, you need a new, urgent, detailed geotechnical survey. Then that's followed by a complete and incredibly costly redesign of the entire foundation system, maybe switching from shallow footings to deep piers or requiring extensive soil stabilization.
Wiping out any savings made on the design fees.
Oh, completely wiping them out, and then some. This is a significant, unplanned capital expenditure that directly destroys any initial savings achieved through the civil engineering outsourcing decision. Then the entire construction timeline is thrown into complete disarray. This triggers a secondary cascade of financial penalties, maybe contractual penalties for late completion owed to the eventual building owner, or even breaching pre-lease agreements with future tenants who are expecting to occupy the building by a certain date.
The knock-on effects are huge.
They ripple outwards. Think about the site itself. Heavy equipment, cranes, excavators, trucks, rented expensively by the day or by the week. It's all sitting entirely idle on site. But those rental contracts, they continue to accrue charges, just burning through the project's capital with absolutely zero progress to show for it.
What about the workforce?
Skilled labor crews, concrete finishers, steel workers, foundation specialists who are scheduled months in advance for specific phases of work. They either have to be paid substantial amounts for standby time, just waiting around, or they have to be released from the project altogether.
And good luck getting them back when you need them.
Exactly. You risk their availability and the project's entire momentum when or if work eventually resumes. And don't forget materials. Material prices, maybe steel or concrete, that were negotiated based on the original, now defunct schedule. They might escalate dramatically due to the prolonged delay, further inflating the already ballooning budget.
It's a perfect storm of costs.
It really is. The shocking cost reality here is that the initial, say, 30% savings on design fees, which seems so attractive and logical at the outset of this civil engineering outsourcing venture, they are now completely, utterly eclipsed by these massive, unforeseen expenditures. The project's financial viability, once looking robust, is now severely compromised, potentially threatening the entire development. It starkly highlights why trusting a partner like AXA Engineers, who integrates deep local knowledge, isn't just an advantage. It's an absolute necessity for risk mitigation.
Wow, okay. And here's where that jurisdictional quicksand we talked about earlier truly reveals its treacherous nature in a really high-stakes scenario like this, doesn't it? Turning a really bad situation, financially and logistically, into a potential catastrophe for a business that's deeply engaged in civil engineering outsourcing.
How so in this specific case?
Well, the developer, right. They're facing these substantial, potentially multi-million-dollar losses directly resulting from what appears to be a clear engineering oversight related to local conditions. So naturally, they turn back to their contract with the East Asian engineering firm. They fully intend to invoke the penalty clauses, the liquidated damages clauses that were likely negotiated into the agreement. Clauses that stipulate significant daily or weekly fees payable for delays directly attributable to engineering errors or omissions.
Standard practice in construction contracts, designed for exactly this situation.
Exactly. It's why those clauses are carefully negotiated and included in the first place. They're designed to provide crucial financial recourse to make the developer whole, or at least partially whole, when things go wrong due to the engineer's fault.
Makes sense.
But it is at this very critical point when they try to enforce the contract that the legal trap, the one meticulously avoided by AXA engineers through our contract structuring and jurisdictional choices, fully reveals itself. When the developer's legal team, maybe back in Europe, initiates legal action to recover these devastating losses based on those penalty clauses, they might be informed, perhaps by opposing counsel or even by the foreign court itself, that those penalty clauses, while perfectly standard and readily enforceable in their own home country, are actually viewed as punitive and therefore invalid and unenforceable under the specific legal system of the partner's home country in East Asia.
Invalid, even though they agreed to it in the contract.
Potentially, yes, because, as we touched on, some legal systems have a strong aversion to anything seen as a penalty designed purely to punish, rather than simply compensate for actual proven loss. Their courts might simply refuse to enforce a clause they deem punitive, regardless of what the contract says.
So what recourse do they have then?
Well, instead of enforcing the agreed penalty, the foreign court might say they will only consider awarding compensation for demonstrably proven direct damages. And that, legally speaking, is a far, far higher and infinitely more difficult, often much narrower legal standard to meet.
So proving every single dollar.
Pretty much. It means the developer has to painstakingly gather evidence and legally prove every single dollar of direct loss caused only by the engineering error. This often excludes many crucial indirect costs, things like the damage to their company's reputation, lost future business opportunities stemming from the delay, or even the significant cost of the capital that was tied up uselessly in the stalled project for months or years.
That sounds almost impossible to quantify fully.
It can be incredibly difficult, time-consuming, and expensive to prove to a foreign court's satisfaction. This unexpected legal hurdle, this unenforceability of what seemed like a standard contractual protection, can become an practically insurmountable barrier to recovering their losses.
So they're just stuck with the bill.
That is the brutal, devastating reality for companies that discover their contracts are effectively unenforceable only after a disaster has already struck. They are left bearing the full, crushing weight of the liability. Zero meaningful financial recourse from their outsourcing partner. They're left holding a severely compromised, potentially unfinished project and a balance sheet plunged deep into the red. That initial allure of cost savings from civil engineering outsourcing, so enticing at the outset, becomes a crushing, inescapable financial burden, entirely unprotected by the very agreements they thought would safeguard their investment.
What a stark wake-up call.
It really is. It underscores that the legal framework underpinning your civil engineering outsourcing relationship is just as critical, perhaps even more critical in some ways, than the engineering design itself. Which is why partnering with AXA engineers, where these robust legal safeguards are literally built into our operational DNA, isn't just a smart decision, it's an indispensable one for protecting your business.
Yeah, absolutely. This nightmare scenario, combining technical oversight with legal unenforceability, it profoundly underscores why the comprehensive, the truly multi-layered approach of AXA engineers isn't just, beneficial or nice to have. No, it is absolutely essential for successful, safe, and genuinely strategic civil engineering outsourcing in today's global environment. It's about building this robust, almost impenetrable defense against every conceivable type of risk, technical, communicational, or legal.
Can you reiterate how AXA prevents this specific legal trap?
Of course. Let's just quickly reiterate how AXA engineers' unwavering commitment right from the start to those pre-engagement legal reviews by expert international legal counsel ensures every single contract is watertight, that it's globally enforceable, that it's custom-tailored to protect your specific interests and assets in all relevant jurisdictions. This proactive legal vetting means you are never caught off guard down the road by unexpected legal interpretations or jurisdictional ambiguities that could render your protections useless when you need them most.
And the dispute resolution clauses.
Right. Furthermore, the meticulous incorporation of those clear, multi-jurisdictional dispute resolution clauses, specifying binding arbitration in neutral, reliable, globally respected jurisdictions like Singapore or Switzerland, is designed explicitly to prevent these kinds of catastrophic situations. They provide robust, generally swift, and importantly, enforceable recourse if issues, despite all other precautions, do arise. You have that clear, reliable path to resolution already mapped out, minimizing delays, mitigating the potential financial impact, and helping ensure your project can stay on track or get back on track quickly.
Plus the IP protection.
And yes, absolutely, our uniquely tailored IP protection agreements ensure that your valuable designs, your proprietary methodologies, your innovative assets remain perpetually protected, preventing that insidious erosion of your competitive advantage that could otherwise stem from improper or unauthorized use of your intellectual property by a partner.
So it's a holistic approach.
Exactly. At AXA Engineers, we don't see these as separate silos. We integrate these powerful technical, communication, and legal safeguards into every single aspect of our service delivery for civil engineering outsourcing. This holistic, integrated approach means that potential problems, whether they stem from a lack of local site knowledge, critical communication gaps across time zones, or complex legal ambiguities, they aren't just acknowledged as possibilities, no. They are proactively identified, meticulously managed, and thoroughly mitigated before they can ever escalate into project-threatening, budget-destroying issues.
Because the real risk isn't just the work itself.
Precisely. Because we fundamentally believe, based on decades of experience in civil engineering outsourcing, that the true underlying risk isn't merely the delegation of specific engineering tasks, The real risk is the potential for an unintentional, perhaps even unrecognized, abdication of ultimate responsibility for the project's outcome, safety, and financial health. With AXA engineers, you never abdicate that responsibility. You actually enhance it by partnering with world-class expertise operating within a framework of unwavering accountability.
So things of oversight and legal checks aren't just overhead.
Absolutely not. Therefore, rigorous oversight mechanisms, transparent communication protocols like our two-shift model and RFI escalation process, and comprehensive legal diligence. These should never, ever be categorized as mere overhead costs or administrative burdens in civil engineering outsourcing. They are, in fact, integral, indispensable components of the project's fundamental structural and financial integrity. They are investments in success and risk prevention.
So what's the takeaway for someone considering outsourcing?
The key takeaway is this. Before engaging any outsourcing partner for critical civil engineering work, your firm must audit their communication processes, their legal frameworks, their quality control systems, and their approach to local knowledge integration, with the exact same uncompromising level of scrutiny that you would apply or should apply to your own internal teams. Maybe even more so, given the added complexities of distance and jurisdiction. This level of rigorous due diligence provides the only reliable foundation for successful, safe, and truly strategic outsourcing. Anything less is just gambling.
And this is where AXA Engineers stands out.
This is precisely where AXANH Engineers builds its sterling industry-leading reputation, on these exact unyielding principles. We combine that unparalleled time zone agility, those meticulously structured escalation paths for quality control, crystal clear communication enforced by bilingual experts, and ironclad contract enforceability. We combine all of that to consistently transform every potential risk inherent in civil engineering outsourcing into tangible long-term value for our clients. Look, in an industry like civil engineering, where even seemingly small oversights can lead to monumental failures with devastating consequences, AXA Engineers' unwavering commitment to proactive governance, to managing every detail, becomes your definitive strategic advantage. It ensures not just project completion, but truly unparalleled peace of mind throughout the entire process.
That was incredibly insightful. We've truly taken a deep dive today, haven't we, into the really nuanced, yet as you say, immensely promising world of civil engineering outsourcing. I think we've clearly uncovered the indispensable importance of meticulous communication protocols, getting that RFI process right, managing time zones.
Absolutely crucial.
We've highlighted the absolute necessity of robust, globally enforceable legal frameworks, making sure your contracts actually protect you and your IP.
Non-negotiable.
And we've definitely underscored the critical value of a deep, nuanced understanding of local conditions, those expansive clays, regional regulations, things like that. We've seen so vividly how overlooking any one of these seemingly subtle aspects can lead directly to significant risks and unforeseen costs that can far, far outweigh any initial savings you thought you were getting.
That's profoundly true. And it leads back to the core value proposition of AXA Engineers. You see, AXA Engineers doesn't just provide, excellent civil engineering services, drafting, calculations, design. We do that, of course, to the highest standard. But fundamentally, we provide unparalleled peace of mind. That's the real product. By building every single project, every single partnership on an unshakable foundation of rigorous oversight, crystal clear, unambiguous communication, and meticulously sound, enforceable legal practices. We effectively transform the inherent complexities and risks of global civil engineering outsourcing into a streamlined, secure, and highly reliable process for our clients.
So you handle the complexity, delivering the benefits without the pitfalls.
Exactly. We are your dedicated, proactive partner in turning those potential risks we spent this whole deep dive discussing into assured success. We ensure that your vision, your project, is realized with absolute integrity, unwavering confidence, and complete financial security from start to finish.
Okay, that's a powerful statement. So let me pose this question directly to our listeners then. If you're looking to truly optimize your next project, if you want to decisively reduce or eliminate the hidden risks, the potential nightmare scenarios we've discussed today, and if you want to achieve true, sustainable, long-term value and gain that unwavering confidence in your next civil engineering outsourcing venture, then honestly, what's stopping you from building your success story with a partner like AXA Engineers, a partner who demonstrably prioritizes your project's integrity, its safety, and its financial security above all else?
It's about choosing the right partner for critical work.
It absolutely is. Don't leave your project's success, your company's reputation, or your financial stability to chance. Partner with the proven experts who have built the systems to guarantee success. To learn more about exactly how AXA engineers can transform your next project, turning all those potential challenges into guaranteed strengths, just visit axaengineers.com today. axaengineers.com. Seriously, your future success story is waiting to be written.
It's the smart move.
It really is. Oh, and before you go, please do remember to hit that follow button wherever you're listening and share your thoughts or questions in the comments section. We genuinely love hearing from our listeners and continuing this important conversation about the future of civil engineering. Thanks for tuning in.